More than 250,000 Syrians have lost their lives in 4.5 years of armed conflict, which began with anti-government protests before escalating into a full-scale civil war. More than 11 million others have been forced from their homes as forces loyal to President Bashar al-Assad and those opposed to his rule battle each other, as well as jihadist militants from the Islamic State. This is their story. Pro-democracy protests erupted in March 2011 in the south city of Dera after the arrest and torture of some teenagers who painted revolutionary slogans on a school wall. After security forces opened fire on demonstrators, killing several, more took the streets. The unrest triggered nationwide protests demanding President Assad's resignation. The government's use of force to crush the dissent merely hardened the protesters' resolve. By July 2011, hundreds of thousands were taking the streets across the country. Opposition supporters eventually began to take up arms, first to defend themselves and later to expel security forces from their local areas. By June 2013, the UN said 90,000 people had been killed in conflict. However, by August 2014, that figure had more than doubled and continued to climb to 250,000 by August 2015. More than 4 million people have fled Syria since the start of the conflict, most of them women and children. It is one of the largest refugee explosions in recent history. Neighboring countries have borne the burden of the refugee crisis, with Lebanon, Jordan, and Turkey struggling to accommodate the flood of new arrivals. A further 7.6 million Syrians have been internally displaced within the country, bringing the total number forced to flee their homes more than 11 million, half the country's pre-crisis population. Overall, an estimated 12.2 million are in need of humanitarian assistance inside Syria, including 5.6 million children, the UN says. Here are some of their stories. Stand here for a moment. Close your eyes. Hear the screaming roar of the junkyard crane as it picks up twisted remains of old cars, bikes, and refrigerators and smashes them into scrap. Smell the diesel, smell the garbage and sewage. Feel the crunching beneath your feet as you step on the jagged carpet of glass crushed beneath metal and concrete. Imagine the filthy toxic mess all around you. Feel it on your skin. Imagine eating here. Now open your eyes and see all the people who live here. Back end of a junkyard, an acre or so of roughly cleared space is home to about 50 Syrian refugees who could not find anywhere better to live. Even this garbage-strewn dump looks good compared to the war back home, which destroyed our houses and killed our families. So we settled here, in the Breka Valley, about 5 miles from the Syrian border, in some of the worst conditions faced by Syrian refugees anywhere. They have slapped together 10 crude tents from scraped wood and plastic, including a discarded billboard ad. This huge face of pouting model stares at the backside of one tent. It is not an official refugee camp. Lebanon has not established any formal camps, largely out of fear what happened last time it did so when Palestinians were relocated here in 1948, followed by the creation of Israel and the Arab-Israeli War. Nearly 300,000 Palestinian refugees still live in a dozen camps that have become permanent towns. As the Syrian refugee population swells to about 1 million in a country of just 4.4 million people, refugees are finding shelter wherever they can. Those with money rent apartments, those without seek out space in empty buildings. as Lebanon fills with more refugees every day, there are fewer places for them to go. So the poorest and newest end up in places like this junkyard where the landlord charges about $50 a month to live among the garbage. Look around, look at the children, look at what's happening. The center of activity is a black plastic hose that comes out of the ground connected to a spigot. It's the only source of water we have here. We don't know where it comes from, but we drink it, we bathe in it, we cook in it, one man says. The kids have diarrhea most of the time. Kids play everywhere. Most of them are filthy. Almost everyone wears plastic sandals, even though some kids are barefoot. Virtually everyone has cuts or scabs on their fingers and toes. Snow will be coming soon, and nobody here has warm clothes or boots. The world needs to see what's happening. They need to see this. Ahmed Al-Akkad lost his eye to cancer before his first birthday. He's now nearly 2, and his mother is terrified that he is going to lose the other. They are Syrian refugees forced to flee their country when their government's planes dropped bombs on their house and homes a year and a half ago. Now they live in a half-finished camp with dozens of other refugees. They are living on the generosity of the Lebanese government plus the United Nations and private aid groups. But the UN and Lebanese officials, swamped with about 1 million refugees in a country with a population so small, say they cannot afford to provide free health care for every sick refugee. So Ahmed's mother squeezes her baby tight and feels helpless. The parents wish they could help. Every mom and dad would do anything to help their children. Huda Khalaf told her husband not to fight. She remembers telling him, "I don't want to lose you. I don't want my kids to grow up without a father." He told her, "I will give my soul to my country and I will leave my kids to God." In a firefight on February 25, 2012, Assad's forces put a bullet through the heart of her husband. The family fled the country and now faces an uncertain future.